everybody. We're just about to the land. Looks like I could mow a little bit. Well, the ceiling didn't fall in. That's a good sign. Wow, is it cold in here. It's going to be 45 degrees in here at night. I might have to still have a fire. Well, if I'm going to have to mow, that means I'm going to have to clean out this shed to even get to the mower, which is probably not a bad idea since this wood is getting a little bit out of hand. One of many projects for the weekend. Ooh, it is cool out here today. It feels better in the sun, but you get in the shade and it is cold. Well, I probably don't even need to say it. I'm sure everybody knows the drill by now, but first things first, we got to unpack the van. I bought these trim boards for to trim around the exterior door on the shack, and I meant to get them stained and I never did, but figure I might as well bring them up and get them out of the way from the house. Big timbers from here, and I brought them home just because I wanted to kind of square them up a little bit, and I didn't really get them square, but I got them trimmed to the right size at least. So these I'll use for the front deck porch. These were 6x6s, give or take. Brought up an old wind chime I'd had down by the river on my other house, and I thought, well, I don't spend a lot of time down there anymore, so I might as well bring it up here. It's always nice to hear the sound of them in the breeze. Did you knock that over? Bed rails, game cams, feed deer, clean the cabin. Well, that's always on there. Saw up grove, saw brush. Well, we're gonna add some things because we've got some other jobs we need to do first. We need to do those soffit vents. We need to mow. Oil change on the mower. How about we do those things and we'll move on from there? Well, I suppose we might as well tackle this mess, huh? Get sorted through. I don't even know what I have in here. It'd probably be a good idea to sort it too. Like that. So, but if we can use them, we might as well use them. They're too expensive to burn if I can figure out what to do with them. Obviously we'll have some scrap though, that's for sure. Other must-do chores is to change the oil in this mower. That we need to do before we mow. So we better get on that. It's been a while since I've changed the oil on this mower. I forgot it was this little plug right here. I was looking on the side for it, and I didn't even spill any oil on the ground. Proud of myself. I always like to put a little oil on the threads of the nut for stuff I'm working on. It just seems like it really keeps it from binding and rusting together when you go to take it off next time. So we're just gonna let that sit for a little bit and we're gonna check it. That oil in there was so black. I think I bought this mower in 1996, 1997, and I've had it ever since. I haven't always used it. It sat in the shed for a number of years. Lost my bolts too. But she still runs. It just goes to show you, you know, the stuff they used to make, they just don't make it like they used to. And I know everybody says that and it's kind of a joke, but it's so true. It's so true. I feel like we should put more in there, but we'll give it a check in a little bit once we get it running and we'll go from there. There, that was easy. Got to get some gas in it though. It'd probably help, eh? I feel like the gas is going in there. This trip up, I brought my generator. I've only used the generator up here one time when I was running a table saw, but I've got an idea that I'm gonna be using it this weekend to run a power drill and a power saw. I finally had a chance to pick up some more soffit vents, so we're gonna go ahead and put those in the runs that I haven't put them in yet. Some of you may have watched my last video where I put in some soffit vents in the runs of the roof, but I did it every other run because I didn't have enough of the vents. But one thing I noticed was that it really made a difference. Like depending on the moisture level inside the cabin, before I put the tongue and groove up, I could tell which runs had the soffit vents, because the ones that didn't, any moisture in the cabin would condense on the face of the insulation. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to put the vents in each run instead of every other, and that should help with ventilation. The other thing that should be noted is I put Reflectix up in the peak, which would help with extra insulation, and I think I'm probably going to pull the steel wool out of each peak and just put extra screen in there just to allow much more airflow. I think the biggest problem was the wood was still damp, and you know, it was still sweating inside the cabin, releasing moisture, and when I had it all closed up, that's when it seemed like it would condense the most. If I had a window open, there was never a problem. So just to mitigate any potential future issues, we're going to go ahead and install soffit vents in every run, so we will have a vent within every 2-foot run, because these are 24 on center rafters. So I bought this Ryobi generator maybe a year ago, I think, and I've probably got about an hour on it. Maybe it was even 2 years ago. And the gas is really going to get old in here, so I want to, number one, burn up the gas, and number two, drilling these 2-inch holes was kind of hard on my battery drill. So instead of wasting my batteries, because I got a lot more jobs for them, I want to use this more powerful DeWalt drill, and hopefully that will make it go faster. Well, this should be interesting. I have had some problems starting this from a cold start, and the one thing I found was that if you tip it up onto its side like this, it tended to start easier, or to be able to start at all. So I think there maybe is some sort of float or mechanism in there, because it has this handle in there and it figures that you're going to drag this around being a mobile generator, and I think maybe it's made to like flow gas into like the carburetor bowl or something like that. So I don't know, we'll see. I have had it up. Let's just see what happens. I think there's something to that. I really do. The other thing I found with this generator is it takes a while to warm up. You don't want to just put the choke down to run right away, because it starts to sound a little struggle. It starts to sound like it's struggling a little bit. Yeah, I need to burn this gas up. It's probably a year and a half old in here. But I do use premium in all my small engines. I've learned that the hard way. Don't use regular unleaded unless it's like a lawnmower that you're going to use every couple weeks. anything like my chainsaws, my ice augers, the generator, purely premium. I don't want to get that varnish built up in the carburetor. It just creates problems. Sounds pretty good, and it's still on choke, so I'm going to turn it all the way down to run and see what happens. Alright, so that's high idle. What I do like about the Ryobi, it has this econo idle, so you're saving gas, and if you're really going to use it for some high power stuff, you just turn that idle off. And as you can see, it's going to go through much more gas, but it's going to produce much more power. It's got this nice little USB port, which I never use. Circuit breaker, overload. Alright, well we're going to drill some holes so we don't need it to be full strength. So I'm just using a 2-inch little key, I don't know what you call it, hole cutter basically, and I'm going to put these 2-inch soffits in the holes. But holy cow, the generator, I don't know if it's the generator or this DeWalt drill, but wow, does that go so much faster than my Ryobi battery powered. So the one thing to note about these is they don't have screens in them, so there's still a chance like spiders and whatnot can get up in there. But it's going in between about in the center of the run. All right, we are done. Once I put in last time looked pretty good. Going all the way down the run. Wow, the raspberry bushes really took off just in 2 weeks. And look at that, they're going to have flowers here pretty soon already. And it is Memorial weekend only. Wow, they're doing awesome. And I got a bunch of new shoots coming up, so that means we'll have raspberries for next year. Look at them all. Wow, we can probably even transplant some of these. Blueberries are looking good. They made it through the winter just fine. And that little raspberry bush I just threw in here just to do something with last time I was up, well, it's growing, so that's a good sign. Still got to put a ton more leaves and just to fill in the gaps. You can see I got a lot of gaps in between the wood I put in there. So I'll probably throw a bunch of leaves in here and then pile some more dirt up in here this weekend. That'll be one of the chores to do. I heard this buzzing and I looked over and there was a horsefly on the window. You know, all of a sudden this guy shoots out from nowhere and snaps him up. Oh gosh, you scared me. Okay, enough of that. They're so... I hate spiders. I do not like spiders. Alright, but we're going to leave this one go. We maybe will let him be the keeper of the tool shed. Because really anything that comes in here is going to be just bugs and horseflies and stuff like that. And so in exchange for the life of the one that tried to bite me in the head last week, I will let this one live since he's not in my space. For now, unless he jumps out at me, then all bets are off. Well, that might be a pain in the butt. I'm not sure if that's going to work very well or not. It worked okay when it was on the inside of the door. Yeah, see, the door's metal, so that could be an issue. But it's probably going to be better than nothing. Just because it's getting to be that time of the year where the bugs are going to get crazy and it's going to be hot in here. and I'm probably going to want something, so I may change it out, but for now I think it'll be all right. I was just doing a little work on a video I was making for my son. He ran a 50K up in Lake Superior up at Lutzen last weekend. And so I wanted to do a little video for him. So I'm not sure which one will come out first, this one or the one I'm making now, but it's a little different than what I'm normally used to making, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to make it for him since it was his first 50K. So anyway, guys, I'm going to hit the hay. I will see you in the morning. Good morning. This morning I thought I'd start working on these panels. I got some of the insulation taped up inside, and I just need to cut them to the right height, and then I'm going to kind of piece them in and just see what they look like before I decide if I'm going to do this permanently or not. Obviously I would need to paint them too, so if I do put them up, I'll probably just put a couple of tacks in instead of permanently fastening them. Well, so this is what the beadboard looks like, and there's just no good way to get the seams to match up where they look decent, and I think it really looks bad. And granted, you know, it would be painted and cleaned up, but the seams just are crap. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out and put it in storage for now, and when I do the bathhouse in the sauna, this can go in there somehow, because I won't care as much what it looks like. One of the viewers said to bite the bullet, spend the money, and do all tongue and groove in here, and I have to say I think they're right, and I think I'm just gonna have to do it little by little. Be patient with me, because I'm not gonna spend $5 to tongue and groove it in here with lumber prices the way they are, so it's probably gonna take a while to get it done. I probably will do a little bit here and a little bit there, but yeah, that's what's going to happen. And you know, I feel good about that decision just because it was kind of looking weird with the windows and stuff anyway, and yeah, just not working. So that's the final answer. Good old Spam. Looks delicious, huh? Well, at least I'll have an opportunity to use up all these scrap pieces. Get rid of them. I just came back from town. I went to get some more boards for the tongue and groove, and they had about 3 12-footers. They were all junk, and they had about 6 8-footers, and they were all junk except for one. So that was pretty much a wasted trip. I did get some trim boards for that window though. I'm not sure how I'm going to trim that out yet, but at least I got some boards to give it a shot. So if you're wondering what these boards are for, I'm going to put chicken wire around this so the deer don't get into here. That way I can put some vegetables or whatever I want in here. This, again, this raspberry bush that I transplanted last time, that was just to do something with it. It's not going to go in here, but I got to get some more dirt in here too. When I raked these leaves, there was quite a few worm castings in there too. So that actually will make nice dirt. You can see I'm putting a lot of brown in here. And with compost, you want a little bit of green and a little bit of brown. Just because they're, number one, they're at different stages of decomp and they release different minerals from what I understand. So a buddy of mine states that you should pee on your compost pile once in a while because it adds nitrogen to all this brown, and if you don't have a lot of green clippings, it's one way to put nitrogen into your compost or into your gardens. So these raspberries are the best I've seen in a long time. Just wind is picking up. I think we're in for some rain or a storm or something. See these big trees up here? This is why I worry about them by the shack. You can see that one leaning. That one is pretty much clear of the shack, but the deceptive one is that great big one right in the middle. That one is leaning right over the shack. So this is why I get nervous about having big trees. And like this one right here, well, that doesn't look very healthy. So that's probably gonna have to come down. Yeah, I hate to cut down big trees, and that one's dead. There's a widowmaker right there. So that's got to come down, but at least it's leaning the right way. So I hate to cut these big trees, but you know, they're popple and they don't live that long anyway. And granted, I'll never see them back in my lifetime, but I guess I'd like to not let them contribute to the end of my lifetime. So the wind is blowing everywhere, but the wind chimes aren't moving. So I think we're gonna have to obviously move that spot. Not a peep. So obviously it's pretty protected in here. Achoo! Good morning. We had a really nice rain last night, so everything is a little wet and muddy this morning. But it looks like the clouds cleared off just in time for a beautiful day. I think today we're going to get the chainsaw out, and I'm going to cut a couple of posts for the bed project that I'm working on, and maybe work on this brush pile a little bit too. Always lots to do. Looks like old Roxy Red decided to have a little breakfast with me this morning. You're looking kind of fat there, Roxy. You got some babies in there? I'm going to be doing some sawing this morning, so you're probably not going to like the noise very much. Do you want me to get you some more seeds? Not sure who changed the settings on the waist strap on these, but I'd say they were a couple inches out of alignment from last year. Seems like the rest of my clothes have all been shrinking lately too. Much as I hate to do it, I'm probably gonna have to start running again. Otherwise I'm just gonna keep porking up. It's been so dry up here that I haven't really wanted to burn any brush, but after that soaking rain last night, I feel much better about it. So hopefully we can knock down some of this pile. We're making a little progress. There's still a ton in here though. I don't think we're gonna get it all through today, but I'm just gonna pick at it for a little bit until I get bored, and then I'll move on to something else. Well, I got a pretty good start on the brush pile. Unfortunately, it just made another chore that I need to do now. I've burned about all I want to burn today. The wind's starting to pick up a little bit, so probably time to shut down the fire. But as you can see, I feel like I made some decent progress on the brush pile. Still a lot of work to be done, but it's a start, and I think I'm going to move on to another project at this point. Like I said, I don't really want to burn anymore, and quite frankly, I'm bored of it, so time to do something different. I sawed up a bunch of old junky pallet boards, and I thought I'd stick them in the little kindling box, and it always makes good little dry fire starters, so I think I'll go ahead and stack those and put them away. I just cut a couple of 48-inch logs. These are going to be for the headboard posts on the bed that I'm building, and I just cut them off of this nice spruce or balsam or whatever it was. I cut that down a couple years ago for the driveway, and I think I'm going to plank a nice 6x6 or 8x8 out of this. It's real nice and solid still, so should be. I'm probably not going to do it today, but eventually I'd like to get to it before it gets rotten. Final verdict on the vacuum cleaner. Let's just say I'm not impressed. It works most of the time, but it really doesn't have much power to it. It is fine for just picking up really small particles, but other than that, it ain't great. I ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Obviously, it works good enough out here in the off-grid where I don't have a choice for anything else. But other than that, nah, don't waste your money. Thanks for joining me up at the off-grid cabin for a couple days. I appreciate all of you that leave comments, all my regulars who correspond with me. I always enjoy hearing about your journeys as well. It's going to be another beautiful day up here in the North Woods. I hate to go home, but this time next year, I'll be retired. I can stay up here as long as I want. So I have 1 year to get all my projects finished. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon.